Good morning, my friends. I'm Scott Owens, Republican candidate for Morgan County Sheriff. This is not an easy video to do today. It's not so much a campaign video as it is just to address my friends in Morgan County, citizens of Morgan County, and I hope this video will make it into other parts of the state. We've had yet another tragedy in this nation. This week we had 17 lives lost, I think was last count. At a school in Florida by an evil individual that decided to go in and take innocent lives as they were either teaching an education or students that were trying to get an education. That's unacceptable. And it's only growing. It's grown over the last, I would say, 20 years. We hardly ever heard of any kind of incident like this, any type of mass shooting in this nation. People will scream it's a gun problem. People will scream it's a gun law problem. Well, I for one disagree. I know people would disagree with me, but that's my opinion. It's not a gun problem. It's a society problem. I feel like that our kids, our youth, the last generation, the media glorifies these type of incidents. The video games glorify murders. They glorify shooting police officers. You get extra points for rape. You get extra points for killing police officers and gunning down civilians. And I think the kids, that's what they know. That's what they begin to think. Not all kids. I mean, some kids can take it as a fun game and move on. But we also have those with mental illness that take it to heart and think that that type of incident will be glorified. And I think it's time to do something about it. I don't feel like that infringing on the rights of 99.99% of law-abiding citizens is a way to correct or take away the risk and the dangers of that 0.1% that decides that they have evil intent and decide to do harm. It's not the weapons. It's not the weapons that are involved. One of the most popular rifles in America today is this one. This is the type of rifle that the shooter used in Florida this week. It's the type of rifle that is used by many of our mass shooters. And it's an ugly looking rifle. It's a scary looking rifle. Some people will call it an assault rifle, AR-15. That doesn't mean assault rifle. There's no such thing as an assault rifle. It's Armalite was where the prefix AR came from. Do we outlaw these? It's a popular gun. It's fun for sporting. It's fun for target practice. It can be used for hunting. There are so many of these in the United States that are used for fun. We don't take these away from law-abiding citizens to be able to also take them away from those that would have ill intent or that has a mental illness. This is also a semi-automatic. Almost the same caliber, the same diameter bullet. Doesn't look near as mean. Most youth receive these. I got this actual rifle when I was 12 years old. Did a lot of squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting. Also has a high-capacity magazine, tubular magazine, that can carry a little over half the rounds that this one can. It can inflict damage. Do we begin taking these away? No, we do not. These are also used for hunting and for sporting. This handgun is also carries multiple rounds in this mag. Do we begin taking these away? No, these are for protection, also for enjoyment, also for range. Do we begin taking these away from law-abiding citizens? No, we don't. I feel like that our problems need to start in the homes. We are not depending on our teachers in our schools to do our children's raising for us. And my opinion, unfortunately, it's time that I think that we can begin training and arming our teachers in our schools. Now, yes, I will probably receive a lot of feedback, a lot of negative feedback on this, but it can't just be, let's give some teachers some guns. I feel like it's time that we have a certain number of teachers that qualify, that receive training, that they receive police officer type training for weapons use, for weapons safety, for active shooter training, see how they react under stress, and if those particular teachers, faculty members, administrators, if they're interested in becoming one of those select few in our schools to arm themselves for the protection of our children, then I feel like it's time that we do that. This past week, Will Ainsworth, I believe, a representative over near Marshall County, has announced he will introduce legislation, I think this term, that will allow our teachers to carry guns in school. Well, the law specifically states it's not actually illegal to have a firearm at the school unless there's a continuous posting of guards and controlled access to those schools. Some of our schools have that. We have school resource officers. I'm a firm believer in our SRO program. I like it as a protection standpoint. I like it as a interaction standpoint between our students and our law enforcement officers for trust. But that's one person. And I think it's going to be time for us that are in favor of this to think seriously about it, to try to put together their ideas. Those that are certified training, gun safety training, those need to come up with a plan and introduce that plan that we can begin having armed teachers in our schools. It needs to be safe. Our students absolutely do not need any type of access to that weapon. It needs to be securely on that individual, on that faculty member that has decided to be one of those for the protection of our children. We trust our teachers and our faculty and our administrators to teach our children the education that they will carry for the rest of their lives. We teach them. We trust them to make sure our students, our children, are fed a well-balanced meal during the day. We trust our bus drivers to safely get our kids to and from the schools. If we can trust the teachers to take those many hours out of the day and it be their responsibility to care for and protect our students and make sure they return home safely, then I feel like there are certain individuals we can trust to also safeguard our students and safely protect. We can't stop all of this. It's unfortunately become society, and it's going to be difficult to stop all. But with 17 fatalities in that school, I feel like, my opinion, if there had been armed teachers, armed administrators, someone armed in the office, when that individual comes in with ill intent and there's a weapon visible, then that person should have been questioned and stopped. One life lost is unfortunate, but 17 lives lost, I feel like the casualties number could have been much less. I know I'm probably going to receive negative input from this, negative feedback. I welcome all feedback. I want to hear your opinions. This is not my plan of what I plan to do as sheriff, but what I do want to do is if the public feels like that they're for it, if the majority of the public feels like that this could be a good idea. This won't happen overnight, but I think it's going to be up to our school boards. It's going to be up to our school superintendents. If it has to go all the way to the state board, then I think it's time that we begin working together and begin protecting our students with weapons. It's unfortunate. I never thought I would see this day. Back in the 80s, when I was in school, we had rifles such as the .22 there, and hunting rifles. Those were in our vehicles. Some of us, had sharp objects, knives we used in shop. We had dangerous tools in shop. We had sharp-pointed objects in shop. There were a number of weapons that could have been made that someone with ill intent in that school, a student, a disgruntled student, could have taken those weapons, but we didn't think about it. We knew better. I think it begins at home. We need to teach our children respect. We need to teach our children what it means to be a person of authority, respect that authority, and most of all, respect a life, respect a loss of life, that respect and learn anger management. If it's a mental illness problem, then I think probably funding needs to increase for counselors. And when those signs in those particular students, if those signs become apparent, then those are the first students that our guidance counselors or call in mental health officials to address that and work with these students. The students are our future. We don't want loss of life, but we also want them to enter life with respect for authority in order to maintain jobs. But I appreciate your time for this. Like I said, I welcome input. I'm been hesitant to make this video, but I'm speaking from my heart. And this last week has really bothered me. I know it's bothered you. It's tragic, and but I believe it's time we do something about it as a society. We do something about it as law enforcement, and I don't feel like infringing on the rights of others, the rights of law-abiding citizens, is the way to address this. We don't take away the right to free speech because a certain number of individuals decide to protest and show their grievances by tearing down statues and blocking roads during protest. We don't take away the freedom of speech from the law-abiding citizens to control those. We don't take away the freedom of religion because a certain number of individuals decide to perform murders or attacks in the name of their religion. We don't take away that freedom. So we certainly don't want to infringe on Second Amendment rights in order to take the risk away and infringe on the majority of Americans. So I appreciate it. This is my opinion, and I welcome everyone's opinion, and please give me